Welcome to the Agent of Wealth podcast with Mark Bautis from Bautis Financial. In this podcast, Mark helps guide you towards financial freedom, ensure you never run out of money, and create a balance in life that prioritizes what is most important to you. Join us for this journey as Mark draws from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the multiple wealth building challenges involved in your financial life.
Welcome back to the Agent of Wealth podcast. This is your co-host, John Williams, and today I'm joined by a visionary entrepreneur who found luxury in one of the most unexpected places, portable restrooms. My guest, David Sauers, is the co-founder of Royal Restrooms, a company that transformed what was once an overlooked industry into a model of comfort, style, and innovation. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you having me on this morning.
We've been talking about this podcast in the office because it's such an interesting and fun topic and really relevant. You know, like everywhere you go, every event that you're at outside, you know, there's just this opportunity. As a person who has the name John, sometimes I take a little bit of, I'm quite offended by some of the names that some of these Porta John companies have come up with. Johnny on the spot is one of them. Anyway, but before we get started, I'd like to maybe just start at the beginning and just learn a little bit about you and what inspired you to take this direction and challenge of reinventing portable restrooms.
So, John, first off, back to point, yeah, there are a lot of companies out there that definitely tackle your name, but portable restrooms, the portable toilet, it is a basic human function that we all have to go through. So why not do it the way that we're meant to, and with a little bit of comfort and dignity? My business started out a little over 22 years ago. I took my daughters to a porta-potty at a Shakespeare in the Park event here in Savannah, Georgia. And as a guy, I never really thought about it that much. It's just it is what it is. But taking a child and the first time them going to a portable toilet and potty training at the same time, learning to go to the bathroom, that was a real eye-opener. We walked in, I had Cece on my hip, and Stella, she was just dumbfounded. She's looking in a hole in a bucket. I turn around, she's got her hands on the seat, she's looking down. I go kind of panic mode, like, whoa, what are you doing? Wait a second. How did I not think about this consequence here? We couldn't move around. It was still dark in there. It was troublesome. I had to hand Cece off to a stranger outside so that I could maneuver in the toilet. Much less, I'm still worried about her being clean or sanitized. There's nothing to wash her hands with. And so I am lifting her above the toilet, and the next thing I know, I feel this warm stream on my leg. We have completely missed the toilet, and I am covered in pee. So I go from kind of an oh no to a very upset father. It was frustrating. I walk outside. There's nothing that I can do. I'm wet. We're all dirty. We don't feel right. Now all of a sudden everything is just kind of ruined. And as I look around, I look at the tents, the lights, everything is put together, and then I turn around and look at these nasty porta-potties that they have just relegated to us as the standard. I went home, went to my half bath, measured out my half bath, and said, why can't we just put this on a trailer? We make RVs, we have boats, we have this should not be rocket science. So my business partner, Robert Glisson, and we invented basically your first private half bath restroom trailers for small events and gatherings. And we set out to change the industry and elevate the portable restroom experience.
How long ago did you get started on this?
That was in 2003, and we started our business in 2004.
Okay. Yeah, that experience right there, I didn't know whether we were going to be laughing about this experience or just be really, because I mean, that experience will change your mind about a lot of things.
I can look back on it now, and there's a number of ways that you can say certain things depending upon the show. I can go back to saying, that not that I ever envisioned a golden shower, but that is certainly not the way that I pictured the first one.
Yeah, no, no, as a father, whether it's that or something, you have those experiences where I just like kind of had flashbacks to certain things that you're just like in this moment, like, oh my God. And once one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong. And then you're kind of like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah,
when it rains, it pours.
exactly. Well, I mean, I think we all have that, and we've all had a similar experience with a portable toilet. I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone that's ever been like, oh yeah, I love a portable toilet. There's always been that cringe, that secret anxiety of, oh no, what are the bathrooms like?
I have a past in running events, so on and so forth. And you always, whenever you show up to one of those races before the race, obviously everyone's racing, running to kind of get their business done before they get to the starting line. And everyone's nervous, so there's like a lot of interesting product going on there. And it was always one of those things where you just hope and pray when you open that door that it was like one of the newer ones, or just for a little bit of sanctity.
Yeah, we've done quite a few of those races, and early mornings, there's definitely some power coming out there right before y'all run.
I actually have a personal experience with that. I worked for a company called Brooks, went right out of college, and they had this really cool idea because of that. Was there'd be these big expos, and to get people to buy product, they said, hey, look, if you spend a certain amount of money, you would get access to these luxury porta pots that were separate from the standard porta pots. Everyone wore like those t-shirts with the tuxedos, and they actually had a velvet rope and they were really, really nice. And I was wondering when I saw this if it was actually you guys. But I guess with that said, is this a space you guys, is there much competition? Is there many people doing this in the way that you are, and what differentiates you from some of that space?
Well, let me give you the backstory a little bit. So, portable restrooms, the trailer size, are not something necessarily new that we created. They had large 53-foot trailers that were made by Kohler and Black Tie that did the golf tournaments and large-scale sporting events. The problem was they were all large and multi-use, I guess. In other words, it was more you walk in and it was a lot of restrooms lined up on a big trailer. It was highly expensive. Your typical communities and events couldn't afford it, much less they were very sparsely located throughout the country. So the trailer that we came up with was just a small private half bath trailer, similar to what you would see in your home, just on a trailer in a small scale. And we made it affordable. We were the first to bring that out and kind of change the market. Now it is probably a standard. Almost, you see them all over there in just about every market. There is a lot of mom and pops that do it, but from a national standpoint, we're probably the largest from an event and wedding standpoint. But your larger contractors like United Site Services, United Rentals, they do a lot more commercialized units, whereas we more or less specialize in the private higher end market. Even though we still do a lot of business remodels locally, their model is based more off your typical porta potty setup, whereas ours is more of a professional event service.
Gotcha. And I imagine the cost is a big issue because when people are putting together these events, they're looking at these line items and they're saying if it's cost prohibitive, it's sometimes tough to kind of fit it in.
They do. And we've managed those hurdles really well over the years. Of course, we'll never be able to compare to a regular porta potty. That just kind of is what it is. But one of the things that when you are putting on an event is you want people to stay. You are putting all of your effort into bringing people here, the experience. They're supposed to have a good time. When you provide an elevated product and something that they're used to, like a portable restroom trailer, at a 6-hour event, the average person stays 37 minutes longer. Can you imagine what that does from a revenue standpoint for eating, drinking? How many times have you been to an event and you've left because of the bathroom, or your wife or spouse left because of the bathroom incident? But not only that, you can change your habits by, okay, you know what, the porta potty lines are disgusting and that I'm not going to quite drink as much, or I'm not going to try all the food because I don't want to go to the bathroom if I have to. So you change that there's that mindset that people and event organizers didn't understand before, but now they're grasping and they're seeing it. We're seeing explosive growth in the attendance of festivals and events when there are nicer restrooms, and we've seen it time and time again.
That's amazing. And as you're saying that, I recalled probably at least a half a dozen instances where like it was an issue, and especially like for females, right? Like, not to get too much into the details, but obviously typically women are sitting down, and it's even more so less comfortable for them if with a particular experience.
Well, and think back to when you go to a family event, one that is, inclusive with people that maybe that have disabilities, or they're elder, or children, baby changing stations. You've got somewhere to wash your hands. You've got somewhere that is more sanitary, spreads less germs, and it creates that overall sense of security that they've put the thought into this event to protect you, to make you feel comfortable. So if there's a line of food trucks out there and it's an event and everybody's running around, you have somewhere to wash your hands. You can go to the bathroom, you can change your baby, you can push in the stroller, or you can bring your grandmother who's in a wheelchair. It enhances the enjoyment of the day and the overall experience. People talk about it, people post about it, and they may not even realize that that's why, but it is.
Yeah. You mentioned sanitation and a few times. What is like, I guess, the hand washing situation in yours? Is there running water?
So our restrooms are a fully functioning restroom that you're used to. When you walk in, it has a flushing toilet. You have space to move around. You have a vanity. You have mirrors. You have a sink. You have paper towels. You have nice toilet paper. It's climate controlled, but you're in a climate controlled space that allows you, and if you've got a couple people from children, that you are allowed to move around and feel, not like you have to hold everything or don't touch everything. It's a nice, clean, friendly environment.
I think that really paints the picture there, because I know that that's always, even when you use the generic porta potties, sometimes they try to do something where there's a foot pump and there's like a little bit of water, but even then it doesn't obviously feel that very clean sometimes. Let's go back to the business and like in the beginning. I'm interested to hear, you had this idea and you started down that path, but that's quite a difference from what people are used to, right? What did that look like, and what were some of the challenges to reshape the way people think about this, and how to get in front of people and grow the business, I guess, more or less.
Besides the fact that it seemed like everybody and their mother was against us, that this was a horrible idea, that we were crazy and lost our minds, we focused our primary target on weddings and very high-end events, because we knew that they would be the ones to spend the money to try this product out, because there would be dresses, people in suits. So we targeted weddings, outdoor wedding venues. And it kind of took off from there. Once people sat down and used our product, they walked out, why didn't I think of this? This is brilliant. I'm never using another one again. And quickly, by word of mouth, it spread that, hey, there's a nicer option. There's a better option. Check out this. And Robert and I were both very involved in our community, and it's still a very core part of our business. We make all of our franchises do at least $25,000 of in-kind donations to worthy nonprofits that serve their local communities. So we got out and we worked with nonprofits. We went in and built up these very good, meaningful impact nonprofits throughout our community. And by joining those alliances and building those brands up, we were able to basically introduce our product to a broader area.
I got you. Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense to start with the weddings. Obviously, everyone's dressed up, and if you are outside, and it's always nice to hear that, like, the word of mouth, because obviously marketing can be expensive, but I can totally understand how people would would experience this and be like, and tell somebody, or like you said, in this day and age of social media, I can totally see people taking shots of like, look at this porta potty, like this is amazing. So it's always good to have that win at your sales.
Yeah, back then, I've never been a huge social media fan, but I mean, I think it was like a MySpace or a Facebook, but people still didn't understand what it was that we had done, and there was no marketing, so people didn't know how to search for us. People didn't know to even look for us. So it was all about creating a whole new image and a whole new industry within an industry. And it was that just trying to change that mindset. And the only way that we could do it was one person at a time, it seemed like.
What did it look like from there? Did you start out with like 5 trailers, and then what did that all look like from in the early days?
We started out with 2. We built 2 because it was easier to build 2 than 1. And so from that point, we started making changes to what the customer wanted. You never know exactly what is going to work. I mean, the first trailers that we built, we forgot to put trash cans in. So it's one of those things that you learn over time, but if you believe in something, you have to just go out and do it. You can't just make a business plan and follow that business plan 100%. You've got to be able to make changes and choices, and our demand and our exposure changed from our original concepts. I think we had maybe 15 trailers or 12 to 15 trailers when Hurricane Katrina hit. And we sent all of our trailers down to Hurricane Katrina, which really gave us a huge boost and leg up. That's really when people started to take note of our product and what we had done.
That's great. Yeah, I can. And those are the things in disasters you never really think about, but having something like that in the midst of that was probably huge for a lot of folks.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick, I want to tell the listeners, like, and the reason why, and they're probably curious as to why I'm asking these types of questions. I don't know if everyone knows the scope of the business. From what I know, Royal Restrooms is a franchisee with more than 50 locations across the country, just to give people a scope of where the business is today. And that's what's fueling my interest from someone taking this idea and building it to that scope. So what were some of the things that happened along the way? I mean, I'm sure at some point you grew and then you said, hey, I almost feel like we're on Shark Tank right now. Like, hey, what would that look like? Hey, like, what are some of these ideas? How do we grow? How do we infuse money into this business? Was there a time where your light went off and you're like, wow, we're really on to something here. We need to figure out a way to throw some gas on the fire, and like how to shift into franchising?
So we started off by licensing, and we got in trouble in Maryland from the Attorney General that basically forced us to become a franchise. In that point, we went through the franchise process. I think that was back in 2007, 2008. We had sold maybe 7 or 8 licenses before that. It was an exciting time. It was, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just kind of going with the flow. It had kind of taken a life of its own, and we were playing catch up and just riding its coattails. We made a lot of mistakes. We continue to make a lot of mistakes. We've never fully seen its potential of what Royal Restrooms can do. We've never put marketing dollars into expansion. We've never hired a franchise company to market us. All of it has been through basic word of mouth, through the experience that they've had, which I believe we pretty much failed on that front, because we have a lot of copycats out there now that have based their business off of us. However, most of them are operating more as a side hustle than a true business. So I would love to be able to infuse a bunch of capital into this business and put the right people in charge to see where this business could eventually take itself. I think I've taken it to a level that is very admirable, but certainly not to where the business probably could be if it was at the hands of someone more experienced. Look, one of my lessons were, we thought the franchise and the business was kind of one and the same. The franchisor is a complete and separate business, but for so long we tried to run it through as we ran our local office. So we tried to continue to run the business as a small business rather than the corporate structure that it probably should have taken. And we've still done well, but we could have done a lot better.
Yeah. Finding a business owner that doesn't look back on their venture and things that they would have done differently, it's always one of those things where you're going to look back and be like, oh, I could have done this differently. But it's great that you've gotten to this point, and it sounds like there's still opportunity too, which is exciting.
A tremendous amount of opportunity.
When you say like money, are you more looking for franchisors to come in as far as that, or is it that and or like kind of growing the core business? What does that look like for you now?
So yes, we would love to have more franchisees come on board, but we have not ruled out the thought of taking on a partner to help manage a lot of our stuff. We have just recently launched our Go High CRM, which is a new system that we started back in June, which will help kind of bring us all collectively back on brand to make sure that we are all aligned in the same focus. We need that structure in order to continue to develop out and build better systems. We've gotten to a point where it's necessary to implement different things from a training purpose, from a scalability purpose, and to continue to make sure that we are out in front of all of our competition. It's hard for me to be innovative, be creative, and also manage the local franchises, from creating teams that work in social media, from teams to create marketing material, to training, and even selling the businesses. These are all very expansive jobs that need dedicated roles.
Let's say I'm a business owner or a potential franchisee, and I come to you, and I don't know how much you want to talk about the exact numbers, but I can see a lot of people who are in that entrepreneurial mindset that want to, maybe look at this. Is there a certain amount of capital, or is there a certain type of person, or what are you looking for there, like when it comes to potential franchisees?
Well, there's two things that make us different. We want somebody that is going to be an owner-operator. We want somebody who is going to basically wear Royal Restrooms on their sleeve. We want somebody that's going to leave, that wants to leave a legacy, but also has an impact within the community, not someone that's just looking to buy a business to make money. From a capital standpoint, we are a slow growth business. It's not like we have a storefront that's brick and mortar, and from day one we start selling. It's a slow growth build. So we may start you out with a couple trailers, or a few trailers, so you're looking at 150,000 invested. But by year 3, you may have 600,000 or 700,000 invested into it, because as you grow, as you build trailers, you buy trailers. Your bookings are usually 4 to 6 months out. So you may start with a couple trailers, but you may not really be getting business for 3 to 4 months, because that's usually what the timetable is. It's not like they're going to call you up and say, hey, I need a trailer. Yes, that does happen, but for the most part, it's a planned thing. It's a venue that's out, that has a date that could be 6 to 8 months away. So as you build up that book of business, your trailers increase, and with that, your expense of purchasing assets increase. We've got a couple offices got well in over $1 million on the books for buying trailers, and they're at maybe year 5 and 6. Trailers it's like buying a brand new car every time you need something. So, but it is planned. It is a slow growth, but your revenue does match what you were spending.
So yeah, I mean, I would imagine if someone is putting more into the business, that things are profitable before they do that, and they're obviously. So to me, it's a good thing that expansion would occur. I'm assuming certain areas are more fruitful than others. Do you find that the areas where are they bigger cities that are going to be more the focus? I mean, have you found that there's other opportunity in certain geographic locations?
So because we're mobile, it almost doesn't matter where you are physically. However, with the new algorithms with Google, it does make it difficult from an advertising standpoint and from a cost standpoint. In other words, if you've got, let's just say, I'm going to just pick on Nashville. If we've got an office in Nashville and they are 40 minutes outside of Nashville versus a company that is right in Nashville and you're still trying to get the same business, you have an additional expense of delivery that could price you out overall. So you've got to be able to make up for that difference. We have not seen population so much as being the driving force as more of the individual in how aggressive they have gotten from a local standpoint, not from a pricing standpoint, but helping get the word out there. Some of my offices rely 100% from a digital standpoint, which is not very effective. You do get those outliers, but it's more about being involved in the city, explaining what's going on, explaining how you can make a difference that really drives that impact.
That makes sense. Obviously, it's like because I imagine hitting the pavement, hitting the phones, getting out there, meeting people, getting into the community, like you said, is a big part of it.
It's that personal relationship, explaining it, understanding it. It's, hey, give me an opportunity, give me a chance to prove myself. And you're not going to have that just by somebody putting an ad on Google. You know, you need to make sure that you're in front of those people and that you're speaking with those people. Even just a website or a social post, those things don't have the impact that getting involved and being involved in a community aspect. I mean, we've got people that Christmas tree farms that are selling Christmas trees. They're ordering a portable restroom. Why? It's certainly costing them a lot more than a porta potty, but why? Because we've been out there, we've talked to them, we've been friends with them, we've promoted them. They understand the importance of it.
Is there anything else you want to add or anything else you want to talk to just leave with, even if it's just in general, like a philosophy that you have to leave with the young entrepreneurs and through your experience over the last, I guess it's been 20 years now, right? 21 years?
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited about the future, and we would love the opportunity to expand into additional territories or help out with one of your events. But from a entrepreneur advice standpoint, I hear so many people all the time. Oh, I need to get this ready. I need to do this. I need to tweak this. I need to do this. It's kind of like when you have a baby. You have to just do it. And you will adjust, you will find a way. Things will start to align the way that they're meant to align. But you just have to put it out there and you have to start.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I love that. Well, David, that's all the questions I have for you today. This is really great. And I think there's going to be a lot of people out there interested in hearing it and learning more about you. So with that said, like, is there a place where people could go to learn more about you, your business? Is anything you want to share there as far as contact?
Yes. So Royal Restrooms is just on the web at royalrestrooms.com. You can find us on all the social media apps under Royal Restrooms. I can be found under LinkedIn, David Sauers, or I have my own website, davidsauers.com, which is kind of something very new, but just trying to get a little more exposure out there, and so that we can spread the word of what we're doing.
We'll do our best to include all that information in the research section of the show notes. Thanks again, David. This is a great conversation, and thanks to everyone who tuned in to today's episode.
Don't forget to follow the Agent of Wealth on the platform you listen from and leave us a review of the show. We're currently accepting new clients, and if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our advisors, please do so at bowdisfinancial.com/call.
Thank you for listening to the Agent of Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Bautis Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial planning and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investments and financial planning.